Hello, family and friends. If it's your first time here, I'm Lonnie and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a topic that affects us all, and that's the truth behind the food that we eat. You might think that you're making healthy choices, but what if I told you that the food industry is misleading you? From stripping away nutrients to hiding unhealthy ingredients. And today we're going to be exploring the deceitful practices in the food industry. We're also going to talk about why processed foods are doing more harm than good. And I'll share shocking statistics about food recalls in 2024. So let's get started because there's a lot of information. I'm going to share resources so you can do your own fact checking. And then I'm going to share with you what we can do. You know, you can't make a lot of changes at once, but pick one thing, and we'll talk about that later. But the number one thing right now is, it blew me away. I had no idea. It's nutrient stripping. When you pick up a can of soup or a box of cereal or even a healthy frozen meal, you're not just buying food. You're buying something that's often stripped of the nutrients that were originally there, and then it's called nutrient stripping. And I learned that this is common in the food industry. When manufacturers process food, they remove vital nutrients like fiber and vitamins and minerals to make the products last longer and look more appealing. I call it Frankenstein food. So, for example, white rice and white bread are stripped of the natural fiber and vitamins, and they call this fortified foods. They might add some nutrients back in, but they often fall short of what was originally there. So, according to a study published in the Journal of Food Composition and Analysis, I'll have the link down below so you can go in there. They've got a lot of information, kind of a lot over my head. But anyway, the processing of foods can result in significant nutrient loss. And like I said, I'm going to be real honest with you here because many of the articles were kind of over my head and I had to use the dictionary to understand some of the words that were being used. But several studies are confirming the same results. But it's important for you to do your own research and learn about corporate industrialized food processing. The links will be below. Next up, we're going to talk about something that's hidden in plain sight, like sugar and unhealthy additives. The food industry loves to sneak these ingredients into our food. And why? Well, sugar adds sweetness that makes products addictive, while preservatives add extended shelf life. But all these chemicals are bad for our health. For example, did you know that in so-called healthier products like granola bars and sauces and salads, sugar is often the second or third ingredient? And that's because sugar isn't just in sugary foods. It's been added to almost everything. A study by the Harvard Health shows that added sugars are linked to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and chronic kidney disease. And the American Heart Association recommends we limit our intake of sugars to just 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 for men. Yet the average American consumes more than 17 teaspoons per day. Harvard Health has 3 articles about sugar, and if you use the link to the Harvard Health and then go to the search bar and type in the truth about added sugars, 3 blogs will populate, and they're very interesting, and I'll have those links below as well. Another one of the most troubling aspects of modern food production is the lack of transparency when it comes to ingredients. While many ingredients are listed on the package, there are cases where food manufacturers don't disclose everything. And this can be for a variety of reasons, including proprietary recipes or to hide unhealthy ingredients. A prime example of this occurred when a popular brand of prepackaged salad dressing was found to contain hidden artificial sweeteners and preservatives not listed on the label. Reports from the Consumer Report and other advocacy groups have uncovered cases where popular brands are caught including undisclosed ingredients. For instance, Consumer Reports published a study showing that several snack foods contain artificial flavors that aren't listed on the label. Again, I will supply the link below so you can type in hidden ingredients and several articles will populate. It's pretty shocking. This one I didn't know before I did this research. This one totally caught me off guard. And it's another disturbing practice. And it's called bleaching. And it says that this process is done to sanitize and kill harmful bacteria. Well, it sounds all good and promising, but it creates a toxic reaction when it interacts with the fats of the chicken. The chlorine used in the process can end up in the fats, making the food potentially dangerous to consume. Researchers have warned about the potential for harmful chemicals created during this bleaching process, which could lead to health issues like gastrointestinal distress and long-term toxicity. Let me say that again, long-term toxicity. This practice is allowed in the U.S., but many other countries, including the EU and China, have banned it. So let me point out, this is corporate industrial chicken raising. Anyway, I'm going to attach below a video by Dr. Sten Ekberg, where he discusses 10 foods that are toxic for China and the EU, but legal in the U.S., which is an eye-opening perspective on food safety. So, you know, I've been learning more about corporate farming, and I want to talk about that a little bit here because I'm sure this is not on your radar. But corporate farming and its use of pesticides and other harmful chemicals. The food grown by these large-scale industrial farms are often soaked in pesticides to protect the crop from insects and disease. But the problem, these chemicals don't just stay on top of the plants. They're absorbed into the soil and taken up by the plants themselves. So when you eat the produce, you're consuming the toxic chemicals. Studies have shown that consuming produce grown with pesticides can lead to a range of health problems, from neurological issues to hormonal disruption. And according to the Environmental Working Group, more than 70% of the produce we consume is contaminated with pesticides. It's not something you can just wash off. It is in the plant. So I will link a video which Bree from Regenerative Gardening with Blossom Branch Farms. She discusses corporate farming and how the government wants to move towards corporate industrial farming. And my question is, do you really want government corporate industrial farming? Think about it. Where has big corporations and government been involved that we have had now major problems with our health and the environment? Plastics being one. And speaking of which, here's a glass bottle that I use. It's ELO, and I'll put the link down below. But that was one of the first changes I made. I mean, because you can't change everything. That's the reality of the truth of it all. But when you're talking about these big corporations, Monsanto, they're now part of Bayer. They caused the Roundup that was linked to cancer, and they swore there were no issues, and they denied it for years until finally it was discovered that, yeah, there's been thousands of lawsuits with people with cancer because of Roundup. And not only that, they have actually created spraying that has stripped the seeds from being able to germinate. So they've sterilized seeds. So you have to continue to buy. Anyhow, again, it's just greed. Dow Chemical. Dow Chemical created Agent Orange, and that was used in the Vietnam War. And how many men and women have suffered from that? There was a Union Carbide, who is owned by Dow, caused a leak of toxic gas in India, and that killed thousands. The plastics I already discussed. DuPont, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can look them up. DuPont is one. ExxonMobil, they had the Valdez oil spill, which caused a lot of harm in Alaska, and they have ongoing spills and leaks. And why are they allowing this? Nestle, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Coca-Cola, British Petroleum, Syngenta, I think I said that wrong, but Apple, Tesla, Amazon, McDonald's, General Electric, all of these corporations have been responsible for serious harm to people and the environment, prioritizing their profit over health and sustainability. Look it up yourself to verify the harm these corporations cause to us and the environment. Anyhow, that gets me fired up. I guess you could tell. But now let's get into something that's happening right now, food recalls. Every year, the FDA oversees food recalls due to contamination, misleading labels, and other health risks. Between headline-making outbreaks of Listeria, E. coli, and problems with undeclared allergens and other possible contaminants, there were 1,908 food and cosmetic recalls during FDA's 2024 fiscal year. Let me say this once again. In 2024, which for FDA, their fiscal year runs from October 1 to September 30th, and that is be October 1 of 2023 to September 30th of 2024. There were 1,908 food recalls. This affects products like snacks, toothpaste, cosmetics, meat products. I mean, again, I'm going to ask you, do you want to rely on government, corporate, industrialized food, produce, animals? They don't have their best interest at heart. The FDA has issued a report showing that over 40 food recalls have already occurred this year due to contamination with harmful substances such as Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli. And this is only food. I'm not sure everything's been listed, and I don't know about the supplemental or the cosmetics yet. That's only the food that I looked at. So here's the problems. Processed foods are everywhere, but the more we consume them, the worse it gets for our health. And I know this personally because I was diagnosed with stage 3B chronic kidney disease, which sent me on this rabbit trail where I reversed it in 3 months after eliminating all processed foods from my diet. So I did really well, and I reversed it in 3 months. Doctor was really pleased and very proud and really impressed that I was able to do that so quickly. But I was on my way to stage 4. So you can take control of your health. And I will tell you that during the holidays, it was really hard because I ate sugary foods, which started the whole craving process all over again. And it has taken me 2 months to get back to where I need to be with my diet. So now I'm trying to figure out how to prevent getting derailed before the next holiday. But snacks, ready-made meals, processed foods often contain excess amounts of sodium and fat and sugar and chemicals, and these ingredients not only contribute to obesity, but are linked to chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and cancer. The World Health Organization warns that excessive consumption of processed foods contributes to the global rise in diet-related diseases. And studies have shown that eating large amounts of processed foods increase the risk of obesity, hypertension, and cancer. I'm going to leave a link to the World Health Organization, and you can read the articles for yourself. So, wow, there you have it. From nutrient stripping, hidden sugars, to the dangers of processed foods, toxic chemicals in our foods, and unethical practices like bleaching chicken, the food industry is full of deceit. And with all the food recalls in 2024, it's clear that we need to be more aware of what's in our food. Now, we can take control. We start by reading labels carefully, and you choose whole foods, unprocessed foods whenever you can. And don't be afraid to question what's in the products you're buying. Your health depends on it. And here's a few more actionable steps that we can take to change the direction we're headed in terms of sustainability and health and reducing our environmental impact. We can't change everything, but find what works for your lifestyle, and you can make those few changes. You can set a goal maybe of making one change a year so it's a little easier and not so overwhelming. These actions can help promote an eco-friendlier and health-conscious lifestyle. So, number one, easiest thing to do, like I shared earlier, go to glass water bottles. I like these the best because of the rubber on the outside. They don't break. I've dropped these, knocked them over. I had a couple that I tried, and I bought 12, and I have broken all but 2. I have another one that is stainless steel, but you have to unscrew the lid. And when you're driving down the road, it's not so easy. But this, you can just pop it open, and it seals, and it doesn't leak. So I really, really like these. I'll put the link below. And by the way, I'm not an affiliate to anything, so I don't get anything for this. But that is a good place to begin. Another really good place to begin, after what I shared with what's going on with the produce, is purchase from your locally grown produce markets, like farmers market, or you can find local growers that will do ship boxes for you. You can do that. Grow your own food. You can grow it even if you live in a condo and you only have a little tiny patio. You can start a container and put, a few things in there and grow it. And then you know what is and is not in your food that you'll be eating. And you'll notice a huge difference in the way it tastes, because you're going to get it organically. You're going to get it where it's not picked before it's ripe. And then they have to gas it so that they ripen it by the time it gets to the market. I mean, it's just ongoing. Reduce your plastic use is number 2. You can avoid plastic packaging. Use cloth bags when you're going shopping. Switch to bar soap. That's pretty easy to do. Be mindful of water use. And this is something I do. I bought 6 32-gallon trash cans, and I collect rainwater that comes off my roof, and I use that to water my plants in my garden. So, there's things that we can do. Now, here's a controversial one. Meat consumption. You can eat plant-based meals. Incorporate more plant-based food into your diet and reduce the impact of factory farming. We talked about that, which will reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But if you need to eat meat, and I will tell you, I do like a good steak and a hamburger every now and then. I really crave it. But I've heard ugly things about the hamburger meat. But when you do consume meat, look for grass-fed, free-range, or humanely raised options. But you can also support your local ranchers, and they sell meat that they raise themselves. And then that way, at least you're getting good quality meat, and you're not getting things that have been injected with hormones or whatever else they're doing. Sustainable energy practices is another one. Now, I haven't gotten there, so I can't really talk a whole lot on that. You know, reducing energy consumption. I have turned my thermostat down during the winter. I just throw on a sweater when the house gets a little too chilly for me. And during the summer, I don't run the air conditioning unless the house gets really hot, like over 85 degrees. But I do like the heat. Eco-friendly transportation. You know, you can use public transportation or carpool. I'm not so sure about electric vehicles. I'm still on the fence on that one because the batteries to create them is very toxic. And what do? The batteries create toxic waste, and our first responders had to get special equipment to be able to deal with electric vehicles. You can walk, ride a bike. There's a whole lot of other things that you can do. So I'm still not in those places yet. I'm still working my way through the list. Practice conscious consumption. Buy less, you know, choose wisely. You don't have to have the most fashion updated outfits, you know, and that lasts for like a nano minute and then the fashion changes. Use sustainable materials, you know, buy cotton shirts, you know, not polyester. And I haven't gotten to this point yet either, is choose secondhand or upcycle and repurpose. I see things that people do that are amazing about repurposing furniture and whatnot. And I don't have that talent or that skill. Another thing you can do is reduce waste. You know, compost your organic waste. You know, if I do quite a bit of juicing, especially when I'm doing some fasting, but I'm eating a lot of vegetables, so there's peels and whatnot. So I'll put those into a tub and then I take them out to a compost bin, and that actually ends up benefiting my soil because my garden is now growing healthier because of all these nutrients that the soil is getting, and I don't have to use chemicals to treat my soil. I mean, there's a circle that goes on here. But recycling properly, choosing zero waste products. And I struggled with this one because I thought I bought some laundry detergent, which is supposed to be truly free, but they send you the plastic container to put the stuff in, and yeah, they send it out in little packets, but you're still dealing with all the plastic and everything else. So I'm not quite sure about what I'm going to do there. It's a journey. It's an ongoing journey. It's being educated. It's learning all the time, trying to figure out what you can do, what's going to work into your lifestyle. Be conscious of chemical uses. I'm learning here about how to avoid using chemicals, and I'm really narrowing in on this one. In fact, I had plants that were getting eaten by I don't know what bugs, but I made a mix of vinegar, bay leaves, what else? Cloves and water. Anyhow, I sprayed all around the plants. It didn't harm the plants at all, but I noticed that they were no longer getting eaten. And so I started spraying it around my house. And I noticed I don't get spiders or anything else coming into my house, which is really kind of nice. And it's not harming anything. Anyhow, you know, you can educate and advocate for change. So I guess that's basically what I'm doing here, is sharing what I have learned, which has been very important to me because of what I have gone through with the health. And it's no longer an issue, but I want others to know that you can do the same. And the last thing that you can do is you can support ethical companies. You know, research them before you buy from them. Choose businesses and brands that prioritize sustainability and ethical practices. I don't know. You can use the Buy Fair Trade certified products. You know, you look for that certification. But taking these steps, whatever works for your lifestyle, can lead to a healthier, more sustainable future. And by making conscious choices, we can help reverse the negative impacts on us and the environment and create a better world for future generations. And remember, we cannot do it all at once. Just choose what you're comfortable with and make those baby steps, because it will add up. So in closing, if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for watching today's video. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out the video by Sten Ekberg and by Bree at Regenerative Gardening. They are a must watch. So stay healthy, stay informed, and make it a gorgeous day every day. Bye.